do it live.
From DreamWorks Pictures.
We are officially starting a fraternity.
This is my house.
I heard you guys are starting up a fraternity. Who told you that?
And the director of Road Trip.
We're giving out bids to 14 guys.
Wait, who's this guy? He looks like he's 100 years old.
Just ring the bell, you pansy.
Good morning. Now that was a party.
I want in.
Half these guys don't even go to the school.
I promised my wife I wouldn't drink tonight. Yeah, I'll do one. We're going streaking!
All right, everybody. Welcome to another Cinematic Lounge with Maria Morrison. Movies that Maria missed. But before we start, Maria, what is the drink of the day?
It is Aperol Spritz, and I saw those on White Lotus last year, and I have been wanting to try them forever, so I looked it up and
Is this a summer drink? What's the
it
story?
is a summer drink.
Okay.
So it's got Prosecco, Aperol, and club soda.
Right. Well, we'll show the ingredients so everybody can enjoy that. I hear it's Italy's favorite cocktail.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
On the box at the liquor store, that's what they say. All right, so today's film that Maria spun last time is Old School. Another Will Ferrell classic, although I don't think Will Ferrell is the main lead in this one. I actually think it's Vince Vaughn. So you would like me to describe it for you? And then you did see it, as we'll see. But all right, so Luke Wilson plays a gentleman who comes home early from a business meeting. And there's a funny little scene, 2003, there's a funny scene at the airport, kind of a 9/11. It was okay to joke about 9/11, him going through the scanners and all that. And he comes home early, and his girlfriend, who's Juliette Lewis, is up in the bedroom watching porn.
Right.
And he hears these voices as he's coming in the house, and he thinks that something's going on. And he goes up there and he realizes that she's watching porn. He gets all excited. He goes, I didn't know you were into this. Let's go. And then two people jump out of the closet, and it turns out she's having a gangbang at the house while he was away. And it sets the whole movie in motion, which is he breaks up with her, obviously, finds an apartment or a house on a college campus. Mm-hmm. And his boys are Vince Vaughn.
Right.
And Will Ferrell. But let's back up a step. The movie starts at Will Ferrell's wedding. And Luke Wilson's the best man. Vince Vaughn is a groomsman. And as she's walking up the aisle to get married, Vince Vaughn is trying to talk him out of getting married.
Right.
And he points to Vince Vaughn's wife, and he says, look at them. They're judging. They're always looking. They're always holding the baby up. And he goes, you got to get out of here. You don't want to be dealing with this. So obviously he goes through with the wedding. Luke Wilson gets hammered at the wedding, and he has to give the toast. Very funny toast, which actually Vince Vaughn came up with, where Luke started it, couldn't finish it because he was so hammered, and then Vince Vaughn finishes it out.
Well, it wasn't that he was so hammered. It was inappropriate. Like what he was talking about was about his breakup. So
well, he did, but he
Vince
was
Vaughn,
drunk. I don't think he would have said that if he weren't as drunk as he was. It started with him bumping into Ellen Pompeo.
Right.
I guess somebody he went to high school with, and he drops a drink on her. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So, yes. And the Dan Band's in this film as well. It's a band. I don't think you had ever heard of him. That band.
No, that band. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was great. No, he ends up being in, I think he's in the Hangover films. I know Dan Band pops up a lot in Todd. And by the way, directed by Todd Phillips. 2003. So, yeah. So Vince Vaughn and Will Ferrell decide that this is great for them, that he lives on campus, because they're going to have raging parties and they're going to be able to hang out with chicks and do all kinds of cool stuff because their lives are so tight. Vince Vaughn owns a speaker company. Will Ferrell just get married. His wife's kind of holding him down, I guess. He's fixing his red Trans Am and he's feeling a little confined. So they have this idea that they're going to have raging parties at the house, and they do. They throw a banger.
Yeah, they do.
To introduce Mitch back into the wild. I think that was his name, Mitch. Luke Wilson's character.
Yes.
And Snoop Dogg is there, sponsored by Speaker City, which is Vince Vaughn's company, and they have a rager. The next morning, the dean comes into the house. We don't know he's a dean as he walks in. He's someone who grew up with Vince Vaughn and Luke Wilson, and then he's played by Jeremy Piven, who's playing the dean. And he says, you can't have parties like this. We're going to rezone this place to only have college-sponsored things go on here. So Vince Vaughn comes up with the idea of, let's create a fraternity on campus. We'll be able to do all these parties that we're talking about, and we'll be able to do it because we're on campus and it's sponsored. And they end up, they're recruits. Is that what you call a frat? I never was in a frat.
I wasn't in.
Okay, pledges. I'm sorry, pledges.
Okay.
This movie's a combination of Animal House and Revenge of the Nerds. I know you've seen both of those.
Yes, I
You've
have.
never seen this one. So there's bits and pieces of both those films in these, aside from the rape that happens in Revenge of the Nerds, which is why we can't watch that film anymore. There's some other debauchery that goes on in this one, but it's not as dirty as like even Animal House or that one. So they recruit all these misfit toy guys. Some of them are in the school. Some of them are 40 and 50-year-old dudes. One guy, Blue, is a 90-year-old guy who I guess is a guy that hung out at Vince Vaughn's speaker place. So he gets him in the frat.
Place, yeah.
So they do the whole pledging and all that stuff, and they create a fraternity. And Mitch, Luke Wilson's character is kind of the straight man for everybody between Vince Vaughn and Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell plays the goofy guy.
Right.
Vince Vaughn plays the idea man. And what's interesting about Vince Vaughn in this film is he came out in 1999, I think, with Swingers and was great. Came out like a rocket ship. This guy, the patter, the whole deal.
Yeah.
The comic. And then between that 1999 and this 2003, he started doing... He took serious roles, like playing serious parts in movies, including Jurassic Park 2.
Right.
He did a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho. He did a couple other Return to Paradise. There's some movies that he decided he wanted to be a dramatic actor, and nobody was buying Vince Vaughn as much as they loved him doing what he did in Swingers, and they're like, "What are you doing?" You know, he tried it, and then I think this was the first film where he went back to the Vince Vaughn that everybody loved, and he nails it in this one.
He does.
He's great.
He's good.
All right, so they have the fraternity. Now the dean's out to get them, and it's a whole movie about the dean trying to kick them out of the campus because he doesn't want them there. And Luke Wilson dealing with guys he works with who want to be in the fraternity, but he doesn't want them in the fraternity because he doesn't want everybody knowing what's going on. Everybody around campus is calling him the Godfather, so he's feeling a little weird about that too. Luke Wilson, like I said, playing the straight guy in this thing. And ultimately, it becomes a movie about them trying to get the fraternity instated again.
Right.
They go through an academic thing. They go through an athletic test. They do all these tests. They pass them all, but the dean is still, he bribes somebody to kick them out. And it's about them basically beating the dean and getting the frat. So that's basically the plot.
Yes.
And again, it's another Will Ferrell-based film, and you are not a big Will Ferrell fan. What did you think about this film?
Well, I tend to disagree that it's not a Will Ferrell based film.
You think it is? Are you agreeing with that?
No, I'm disagreeing that it's a Will Ferrell based film.
Okay, he's in the film. He's not.
I'm saying he is in the film, but it's not. It doesn't surround his type of comedy. Like it's not just. It's the kind of the buddy comedy.
It's the last one we saw was Step Brothers.
Right.
Which is a one-note film.
Exactly.
You know, two idiots surrounded by idiots.
Right.
This one has a plot and an arc.
Right.
It has 3 acts in there.
Right.
It's a traditional film. Comedy.
Right.
But okay, so go ahead.
Right. And so it's just, so I liked it because it wasn't just like the Will Ferrell in it was good.
Right.
He was funny.
Frank the Tank.
By
the way, I decided to. Yeah, I went a little casual today because it was a beautiful summer day here in Baltimore, and I just didn't want to put the blue lounge thing on again. And I thought I'd lighten it up, and we're going to go streaking Frank the Tank. So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so that was, and that was good. The Frank the Tank character was funny, but it was playing off of Vince Vaughn's kind of family man versus, you don't want to be a family man, and the Luke Wilson, straight guy. So it was not just like, so when Will Ferrell was Will Ferrell, like when he's streaking, which is hilarious,
naked.
and
he did it.
Courageous because, he's not exactly,
He wouldn't wear the sock.
Yeah.
He said, I'll wear the sock that goes on a man's penis when he's in a film.
Yeah.
To protect everybody, I guess. He said, I'll wear the sock on my left ankle.
Yeah.
So I guess he really went full-blown naked.
I think he
did. And that scene where he turns, every time he turned his butt into somebody was pretty funny.
It was funny.
Oh, hey, ladies.
Hey, Frank. Looks like it's a little cold out there, huh?
And that was funny, but that wasn't the only funny in it. So that's why I liked it. It wasn't just all Will Ferrell.
Right.
Ferrell kind of jokes.
Yeah.
It was, it had, the Vince Vaughn kind of patter where he just talks and And he was very funny
Yes,
too.
he was.
You know, he was good. And then the Luke Wilson, like, you know, everything just seems to keep happening to him. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
all absurd stuff happening
Right.
around him. You know, he ends up at that party, he ends up sleeping, or he wakes
Right.
up with a young woman. Turns out she's a high school student who's also the daughter of his boss.
Mm-hmm.
So he's dealing with that. He's got those two guys. Matt Walsh, I think, is one of them, and Artie Lang play his buddies who
Right.
want to be in the frat. And it's, to me, that's the essence of the film, is the one guy, Matt Walsh. Because he
Right.
has this thing where he goes, you got to let me in the frat.
I need this, okay? My wife, my job, my kids, every day is exactly the same. Oh, I go golfing on Sundays. I hate golf. Don't blackball me, Mitch, please. I'm not blackballing you. We work together, Walsh, and I don't want to mix work with whatever it is I do at home. And trust me, you're not missing anything anyways. Really? Heard you hooked up with Goldberg's daughter. Sorry.
And it's just about how guys want to get back to what was fun in college. Like, you know, when you're middle-aged and you're trying to support everybody, whether you're a man or a woman.
Right.
You're supporting people, you have kids, your life is becoming a grind.
Yeah.
It's wash, rinse, repeat, right? It's
Yeah.
You got to get up every day, you got to go to work. And have a frat, a place where you can go and just let it all hang out. Who doesn't want that? That's what bowling's for and things like, you know, things
Yeah.
that everybody does. So that's the premise, is everybody's trying to get in his frat.
Right.
And including the Misfit Toys.
Yeah.
Rod Corddry's in this film.
Yeah.
Early Rod Corddry, because he says nothing in the film.
Right.
All you see is reaction. I don't know if things got cut out or what, or it was before Rob hit it big with the Daily Show and then
Right.
what he's doing now. So go on. Anything else you want to that you remember about the film that you thought was great or not great? That's fine too.
No, I mean, I generally liked the film. I liked the, you know, premise behind it. I liked the idea, you know, the man comes home, his life's kind of upended and, you know, trying to, you know, fix it.
Juliette
and get
Lewis
back
was
to it.
great, by the way.
And Juliette Lewis. And then, you know, there were...
That was his girlfriend.
Yeah. And then, you know, Leah Remini was in it, just playing the, you know, she had a little bit part where she was, you know, Vince Vaughn's wife.
Right.
And, you know, she was kind of just quiet and there. But it was, you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what the men did. I enjoyed the funniness of it all and the, you know, ridiculousness of it.
Yeah. Favorite scene? Do you have one?
You know, I don't, like, I do like the scene, the wedding scene. I do like when Vince Vaughn's telling him not to do it.
That's the beginning of the film.
But
That
you
film
say it
opens
starts
with,
it, like, to me, and I might be wrong, but it starts with him
You are correct.
leaving the thing.
You are correct.
And
The
then
first
coming
shot
back,
is-
and he catches his girlfriend. That's the whole thing that promises why he gets drunk at the wedding.
It's Luke Wilson leaving the convention
Right.
to come home early. They do that whole scene at the airport. So this is 2003.
Right.
So it's after 9/11, and Todd Phillips is making
Right.
They're not overt 9/11 jokes, but he has trouble going.
But
through
it's like, yeah, because nobody knew what to do with
taking his
security
shoes
at that
off,
time.
taking his
Take
belt.
my
There's a
shoes
guy
off.
with
Do
a
I do
gun.
that?
You know,
Yeah,
guy's security guard. All right, so you're right. It started with Luke Wilson bumping into his wife, watching porn. He thinks he's watching porn, and then
Right.
people jump out of the
Right.
closet, and she's having a gangbang.
Right.
Todd Phillips ends up coming to that gangbang. He knocks on the door, and Luke opens the door, and it's Todd
That's
Phillips.
Todd Phillips.
Yeah. I'm here for the gangbang.
Boom, now it cuts to the wedding. You're right. Okay.
So then they go to the wedding. So
Right.
that scene, I like that scene. I like when Vince Vaughn's trying to talk him out of it. I think it's funny.
You have a story about your dad?
Yes, I
Oh,
do. So, you know, and it strikes home because, you know, before my first marriage,
Right.
my dad, 2 days before the wedding, or the night before the wedding actually, took me out to Brookside Gardens and had a conversation with me telling me, you know what, you don't have to do this. You don't have to get married if you don't want to.
He gave you that out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? When we spin the wheel, I'm going to give you an out too. If you don't like the film that lands, you can have another pick. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe he did that, but okay.
Well, no, I mean, there was all sorts of reasons for it, but
Yeah.
he, you know, he loved my ex-husband, and you know everything was fine. But he said, you know, this is the last chance you have if you want to. If you want out.
So 24 years later, he was right.
Yeah. It took a while, but we
take a
figured it
while,
out.
right.
So I liked that scene. I did like the interplay between Luke Wilson and Ellen Pompeo, where he's trying to impress her, and she's kind of, though I didn't really love her character.
Yeah,
she was kind of like
the
meek
weakest.
and
I mean, she's adorable, and,
right?
You know, and it's a meet cute thing. Obviously,
right.
She keeps coming back. She's now in a relationship in the movie with Craig Kilborn, right? Who was the original Daily Show guy. He had a bit part in this, but he was a douche.
Yeah, he was.
And so they keep bumping in, and there's all this mixed up stuff where Luke accused and saw Craig Kilborn at the pool party thing, hit on a server. He tells Pompeo that Craig Kilborn tells Pompeo it was Luke. So there's all this mixed stuff, and he was one of the. That's the one thing Luke was dealing with all the time, is all this absurd stuff happening around him. And then you got Frank the Tank.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for me, the classic scene is Frank what's Frank before he becomes Frank the Tank, not wanting to drink beers, and he does that funnel, and he does that great line about when it hits your lips.
They knew right what to do.
Well, because he's Hank the Tank or
Frank the Tank. Watch, it touches the lips. Remember, I keep talking about that.
Once he does that, now he becomes Frank
Yeah.
the Tank, and it's over. It's him being through the whole movie. Now he's the same dude.
Right.
He doesn't change.
Well, no, he
At
does.
the end, he
At
does,
the end,
right.
he does. At the end, he's not Frank the Tank anymore, but he's not the guy who goes to Bed Bath & Beyond. Like, he seems to have found, like, he's the DJ.
Right, he becomes a DJ
the
at a
radio
college or
station.
something? Yeah,
like
at the
a
college
like
radio.
our
Yeah,
independent radio
right,
station,
right.
like a HFS kind of thing. And
That's so funny. It would have been a podcaster now.
yeah.
In 2003, because there was no there was
Yeah.
cell phones, but no iPhones, none of that.
Right.
So he would have been a podcaster, but 2003 he's a DJ.
Yeah, so he figured out a way to kind of marry his
And then he had that
personality.
scene that you mentioned to me before. I think it's a post-credit scene where he bumps into Juliette Lewis
I do like that
at the
scene.
grocery store.
Yeah.
Now he's single.
Now he's
in the
single,
grocery
yeah.
store with sweatpants. I mean,
Yeah,
he looks like
he's not even looking good.
Right.
And
she looks
Juliet,
great.
Yeah.
She comes in slinking in there. Hey, we get some internet friends, whatever that means. And he gets all pumped up and happy, and it was good for him. It was a good ending
Right.
for him, because he was
Right.
throughout the whole film he was embarrassed constantly because that gift that was kept getting passed around, the bread maker,
Right.
something that Luke gave him at his wedding. Frank gives it back to Luke for a home open house,
Right.
and then gives it to the kid, Max's
For his birthday.
Vince's kid, Max.
Yeah.
Who had Max, the earmuffs. I
Yeah.
love that stuff where anytime Vince wants to swear, he's earmuffs Max, and he starts dropping all this stuff. The interplay with all the three guys was really good. Mm-hmm. And then Vince Vaughn goes on and does Wedding Crashers with Luke's brother Owen,
Right.
and they have this great interplay. I mean, it's like people love being around Vince Vaughn and doing these films, and you feel like they get all this camaraderie all the time, and it's all based in comedy, and it's just really really good.
Yeah.
So the pool scene.
Yes.
How'd you feel about the pool scene? Vince Vaughn dressed like Wayne Gacy with the cigarettes.
Yeah, like he was John Wayne Gacy, and the party scene was fine. I felt like the pool scene went on too long. Like when he falls in the pool, and then they get him out, and then he French kisses the guy, so then he goes back in the pool, and I was like,
classic.
It just was a little bit too long.
Really.
The whole party thing was just a little too long for me.
Right. But still, you liked it better than Step Brothers.
Yeah, I did. But I didn't necessarily like that scene better than the Catalina Wine Festival.
Well, I mean, that's the wine mixer.
Yeah.
Effing Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to compare those two. It's funny that came out. What do we say? 2009 was Step Brothers. Because this is early Will Ferrell as well. I was surprised after rewatching this how he's not in the background, but it's not about him.
No, it's not his movie.
He takes it over when he becomes Frank the Tank and he's running in the.
See,
the
I disagree
quad
with
naked.
that. I think he's got a bit in it, but it's still not a Will Ferrell movie.
No, I'm not saying it's a Will Ferrell movie, but he still is a big presence, even though he didn't. I don't know. To me, this movie was Vince Vaughn.
Right. Vince Vaughn's way more charismatic.
He created the frat.
Right.
He was about to give up on the frat.
Mm-hmm.
And also, let me back up a step. He started this whole thing because he wanted to meet chicks.
Right.
That was the thing. He's like, we got this guy. He's got this house. We're going to be able to have girls here. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Then he has that scene where he has a woman in a room.
Yeah.
On the futon. He's on the futon, which is a riot, right? That's so perfect. And then he's like, no, I'm married. I just
Yeah.
can't do this. I just wanted to have some fun. And I think I've maybe gone overboard. And that's an interesting... The film has heart.
Right.
The film has heart. It's a weird, like, you know...
Well, you know, like Vince Vaughn, he plays this guy who doesn't have a heart. And then you see this one scene and you're like, oh, he is cool. And then at the very
He's ready
end,
to give up.
When he's ready to give up, he's like, so what? And you know, Luke Wilson says, wait,
We
these
got
kids,
all these guys. They've all
they're
been
gonna
following
lose
us.
they're going to get
Right.
out of school. You know, Blue died.
Blue died.
And you're just going to walk away. And he was like, then he turned around and he helped them out. And he was a big part of helping them win. Then, you know, they didn't win, but, you know, helping them.
Oh, that athletic thing where he's up
yeah.
on the ring smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
I'm still up.
That was the thing that struck me too, was the cigarettes. Because, you know, now you don't see people smoking anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I just, yeah.
Juliette Lewis, like cigarettes were big in
that
here.
scene in the kitchen where she's blowing it out of the side of her mouth.
I'm really sorry.
The way she's smoking that
I
cigarette.
know, it's so good.
Like,
Jeez.
what is...
It's like, I don't know why she, and I was even watching the commentary, and Todd Phillips was like, I don't know why she did that, but it was funny. It's like funny. She's pretty, and she looked great. I mean, she did look good.
Now, she was young in that. Like, she looked younger to me than, like, was it,
This is
trying to figure out
post.
her-
I think it's post Natural Born Killers.
Is it?
I think
Okay.
so. I think this is for. I don't remember. Natural Born Killers was in the 90s.
Yeah, it was. It
I
was
think.
like 90.
5 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't. We're gonna do that with our friend Al.
Right.
The three of us are gonna talk about that film, which will be fun. Yeah. So she was great. Everybody, the side character, even Craig Kilborn playing the Dick was great. I mean, he was
Yeah.
very funny.
He did a
And
good
Jeremy
job at that.
Piven, who plays the dean,
Mm-hmm.
was also in a movie before this one called PCU, Politically Correct University, where he was the asshole frat guy.
Right.
He was like Van Wilder. Did you ever see that with Ryan Reynolds? Van Wilder. Okay. No, I'm not putting that on the list, so don't worry about it. And it's interesting to see him play the straight-laced
Really?
lead. Yeah. So that was fun too.
Well, he was bullying the bullies. Like, so
They weren't bullies.
They had bullied him in high school.
Oh, right. They threw him in a dumpster.
They threw him in a dumpster. They had done some. Yeah. So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
he had power. So
Right.
he was trying to bully them back
Right.
and kind of win. And in the end, you know, he didn't. But
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Right, he's bullying the bullies.
Yeah.
But he was a real bully. He was bad.
Yeah.
He bribed the woman on the student counselor, said she was going to get
That was his fatal flaw.
Right. Right.
you know, a kid's getting ready to go into Columbia. She's pretty smart.
So did you know about the lips when it hits the lips? That wasn't in your consciousness, or Blue's my boy.
No.
None of that.
No.
It's so funny.
I'd never even heard of it. Now, I will say that my lips tingle when I drink.
You've said that.
Yeah.
And I've said,
And I had
I've
nothing
made
to
the
do
joke
with that.
about
Yeah.
it touches your lips. That's interesting. All right, so if you were to rate this one, I forget what you did. Step Brothers was 2.5.
2.5.
So what's your
This one's a little better.
Okay.
It's going to be a 3.
big 3? Huh?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. I mean, it's 3 out of 5. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not a masterpiece.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say 4. Mm-hmm. And I also want to talk about Todd Phillips a little bit, the director. Okay. So we know he went on to direct the Hangover movies. He directed Joker. He's directing the sequel to Joker. He does documentaries. I don't know what document. I can't just go on and find him. I know he does some. He's a serious filmmaker, and I think he elevates these films with his cinematography and the choices he makes. For comedies like this, they don't have to look great, because it's all about the jokes and the situations. But he does things in these movies and in The Hangover. Joker for sure. I mean, Joker, he took it to a different level. But even in this film, you could see that he was setting shots up that you don't have to do in films like this.
Right.
But he takes the time to do these things, and I just really appreciate that. And I think he's underrated as a director, because he directed movies like the Road movie, the one before this one, Road Trip he did with McCarthy, that guy, or whatever that guy, guy dated Drew Barrymore for a while. Tom something, I forget his name. He's a very absurd guy. Right. Sometimes funny, sometimes really absurd. So he did Roadhouse.
Tom Green.
Yeah. Tom Green, thank you.
You're welcome.
And he also did the one with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis, where they travel across the country. I forget again. I can't remember names. It's ridiculous, but funny.
Yeah.
But cinematically, he does things that he doesn't have to do in these films, and I kind of appreciate that. So I just want to shut that out. So that's why I give it a 4. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's funny. I think there are scenes, the scene with the when Will Ferrell jabs himself with the thing, and like Stifler's there with the pulling on the donkey or whatever it was. It's just little bit parts. Rob Corddry, like I said, says nothing. Mm-hmm. Vince Vaughn dressed as the clown with the cigarette in his mouth, walking around like that, but yelling at his pledges because they're taking the costume head off.
Right.
You're going to freak the kids out. You're taking the costume off, and he's walking around looking like John Wayne Gacy. All right, so that's an average, I think, of 3.5. I don't know.
Yes, 3.5.
Is it 3.5? Mm-hmm. Thank you. You're a teacher. It's awesome. All right, so let's spin for the 10 questions. You know,
okay.
10. We'll do that.
Let's get a question.
And then we'll spin for the next film you're going to do after.
Okay.
Movies Maria missed. So here we go. 10 questions. Favorite movie quote?
Oh, I'm not good at this because I don't know a lot of movies, but I do use some sometimes. I'm trying to think really quick. It's hard to think on a.
I know it's tough. This is tough. A lot of pressure. I mean, there's a board right there. If you want to look at the board, there's 100 quotes on that board. If you think it's going to help. None.
I can't.
How about, have you heard one in Casablanca? Have you heard one from, let's see, what's the Civil War one with Humphrey Bogart?
I've never seen Humphrey Bogart. Like,
what? You never saw? It's Casablanca's on the Wheel.
Yeah, no, I've never seen any of those.
You've never heard this looks like the beginning of a beautiful friendship? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I've heard that. Okay. I've seen that. That's Gone with the Wind. I just don't like the movie, so I don't like the quote. Yeah. I don't know.
You giving up?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I've got to get a bigger boat.
Okay.
Listen,
that's a go-to.
It's like
I wasn't
Jaws.
even, and I'm not going to use that one. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the one from a film you have not seen.
Shocker.
Yeah, called Some Like It Hot.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know the premise of that film. Okay. So Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis play these guys who are getting run down by the mob. And they decide to get away. They get on a train with a vaudeville act, and they dress as women.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Marilyn Monroe. It's a famous movie. Right. Hopefully you're going to spin and see that film, but we don't know. Anyway, at the end of the film, Jack Lemmon still dressed as a woman.
Right.
Some dude has been falling in love with Jack Lemmon as a woman. They end up on a boat together. And Jack Lemmon's trying to tell the guy, the guy keeps professing his love, and Jack keeps going, "No, you can't. And finally, Jack just rips the dress off and goes, "Dude, I'm a man." And the guy looks at Jack and goes, "Hey, nobody's perfect."
Oh, that's a good line.
It's such a beautiful quote, and it's so perfect. It's buttoned and it's great. So that's my quote. There's a ton of quotes. Like I said, I've got 100 of them on there. Chris came up with a beauty, the one from Blade Runner. Chris.
What's that?
Blade Runner or the quote?
No, I know Blade Runner. I haven't seen it,
but I know about the tears disappear in rain. It's the replicant said it. I can't even quote it again, but Chris laid it out. So.
Oh, nice.
All right, are you ready for your next film, Maria missed?
Let's see.
Here we go.
What shall I be watching in the next few weeks?
Oh, all right. Here we go. You should watch this. Die Hard. I can't believe you never. I'm sorry. I'm giving you one out. If you don't want to do it, you don't.
I'll watch it. I know the whole premise of it.
Okay, but you've never seen it.
No.
Okay, this is great.
Because I don't like Bruce Willis.
Well, that defeats the whole purpose. Well, this is the movie that started my podcast. I mean, that's
right,
Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother podcast came from this film.
I know.
I think it's one of the most perfect films ever made.
Okay.
So I'm going to be thrilled to stare at you. I'm going to be thrilled to stare at you as you watch this film to see if you get what's going on.
You have to tell me why it's perfect because.
Well, you'll see. You'll see.
Not a Bruce Willis fan.
Anything? You didn't like him in Moonlighting? You didn't like him in his Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler commercials?
Really hated him.
Why?
Because I thought he was an arrogant asshole, and then
that's what makes him funny.
I did not see it redeemed in any way ever.
Wow, you are hard. You're tough. This will be good. All right, well, so you're going to go with Die Hard. You're good?
We'll watch Die Hard.
I can't wait. It's going to be
It's a
fun.
Christmas movie, right?
Theoretically, I'm on the fence about that one.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it is, but no, it's just a classic, and I'm glad you're going to see it. So this will be awesome. So there we go.
Okay.
Another great lounge under the gun. Here we go. Cheers.